Good morning, everyone. It is 10:51 a.m. on Friday, March 14th, other known as Pi Day, and we are tracking the potential for severe weather as we head into this holiday weekend, St. Patrick's Day weekend. Severe risk across the country is quite large, especially for the next 3 days. We are tracking a level 4 out of 5 moderate risk for parts of the upper Midwest. This extends into parts of the South as well. St. Louis, Memphis, Columbia, Springfield, Peoria, Des Moines, Iowa is included in this. And then just outside in that level 3 enhanced risk is Chicago, Omaha, Kansas City, Nashville, Birmingham, into the Mississippi area, Jackson, Columbus, Greenville. So crazy big area that we're tracking for severe risk for today. Fast forward to tomorrow, and we are tracking the same thing, but the threat has moved south and east into Dixie Alley. This is pretty much the heart of Dixie Alley, maybe a little bit further east, but I mean this is out, or as risky as it gets for Dixie Alley. If you guys are familiar with James Spann, he's a meteorologist out in Birmingham. You may know him. He's got a podcast. He's very renowned, very respected, and well-known in the weather community. And to sort of quote what he said, or to sort of paraphrase what he said, these types of events happen maybe once a year, if not once every few years. It's not every single storm that comes through that you have back-to-back moderate risks in play. So the areas up in parts of the upper Midwest and Dixie Alley over the next 2 days need to be on alert. So if you've got family local to those areas, please let them know that severe weather is likely headed their way. I'll get more into details in a second and why we are so concerned with some of the things that could be unfolding over the course of today and tomorrow. Now, eventually the threat moves east and includes a lot of the East Coast. It stretches all the way down from Florida, Tampa, all the way up to Boston and to Albany, New York. So, I mean, this is a big-time system, very, very dynamic, very strong. So as you may know, we've issued a Weather Authority Alert Day for Saturday and Sunday for the potential for severe weather here in Southwest and Central Virginia. We'll likely see some damaging winds. Tornadoes can't be ruled out. Isolated hail can't be ruled out. And flash flooding can't be ruled out. Here's a look at the day 2 risk for Saturday, March 15th. Level 2 for parts of the New River Valley, Wythe County, Grayson, half of Carroll, half of Pulaski, Bland and Giles included in this. Green is level 1 marginal risk. We're on the perimeter for some isolated storms, perhaps a little bit more scattered in parts of the New River Valley. Day 3. Almost everyone that was included in that marginal, if not, you're now in the slight risk for Sunday. Everyone who is in that slight risk, now pretty much in the marginal risk as the threat continues to push on over, basically right at that transition from Saturday to Sunday. Here's a look at Futurecast, what we're tracking. Notice 1 p.m. later this afternoon, there's not a whole lot going on in parts of the country. Maybe some snow over in the Denver area, a couple of showers for parts of the upper Midwest and parts of the plains. Other than that, just a little bit of cloud cover. Flow is out of the south, which is going to supply this system quite a bit because we know the Gulf is very warm, supplies a lot of moisture, supplies a lot of instability to these areas. But watch as we go through Futurecast. Once we get to about 3 o'clock, we start to see that area of low pressure start to have some showers and storms erupt around it. And so this is what we're worried about for the moderate risk, day 1, level 4 out of 5. These storms are bowing out east. See their shape there? It's sort of like a dog leg almost. That's where the winds can really come into play. We're talking 75-mile-an-hour gusts, maybe 100-mile-an-hour gusts maxing out. This is going to continue to push towards the east. And then we have these little cells popping up to the south that will likely also pose the threat for hail, gusty winds, and isolated tornadoes. Some of these could be long-track tornadoes. We'll likely see similar circumstances unfold within this main line that pushes into the upper Midwest late tonight. Notice this is 12 a.m. tonight. And then as we continue throughout the time lapse, we're talking early morning hours. So this is going to be a nighttime event for some of our neighbors up in the upper Midwest. Then we get to tomorrow, and then we've got another nasty line of storms that gets together. This is the one that's going to be impacting us. We'll freeze frame it here at about 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow. These little areas of pink, purple, and deep pockets of red, those are supercells that are popping up on Futurecast. You don't really get that high definition of storms 24, 48 hours out from the event. So to see these pop up, it's a little bit concerning, but that's why that moderate risk is in place. That's why we've been talking for the past several days about these areas where people need to be aware that weather will likely be inclement and perhaps severe for most of the day. Let's back this up to about 5 o'clock. Let's head on over to our neck of the woods. We've got some isolated showers that will be possible during this time. I know we've got a lot of St. Paddy's Day festivities occurring. Here's a look at 11 a.m. when the parade starts downtown. I think we're clear of the rain. I think we see some mostly cloudy skies. Parade ends 12:30, 1 o'clock. I think we're all good. It's the festivities that take place in the late afternoon, in the early evening, where I think we'll likely see a couple of showers. Might spoil some plans. I think the majority of us stay dry. I think we maybe get tagged with a shower or two, but not anything too terrible. Then if you remember, parts of the New River Valley were under that level 2 risk for tomorrow night. That's because some of these storms over here might creep in a little bit earlier. This is really going to be the nasty stuff that enters our region. We see sort of a little bow right here, a little bit of a line getting going. That's going to be some gusty winds. We'll likely see some heavy rain as well. That's going to continue to march eastward. Now we transition to Sunday. Now everyone in southwest and central Virginia is under that level 2 risk. We get a little bit of rain before. Again, some of these going to provide some gusty winds, heavy rain, which could lead to some localized flooding. We could see some hail. We got some pockets of pink, deep pockets of red in here that will be moving through. Some of these cells embedded in this line could be rotating, so we can't really rule out the potential for a tornado. Notice right in this area, we start to see these little pop-up discrete cells, if you will. This one primarily over Floyd County. While I can't say it's going to exactly go over Floyd, it's just indicative of what the model is picking up. So we could have these little cells, anywhere across southwest and central Virginia, spanning out east towards Charlottesville and to the Richmond area as well. So we're going to continue to monitor this Sunday morning. But I do think the bulk of the rain comes between about 4 a.m. for the New River Valley, starting us off. And then I think we're done by 4 p.m. We could see a couple of discrete cells. Notice these out here. Those are going to be ones that we need to watch carefully in the afternoon. So even though we're going to have rain, we'll get a little bit of a break. We're not going to be all in the clear. We've kind of got like a 2-wave process with this system that's going to be coming through. By far, the biggest threat, wind damage. Destructive winds are possible, upwards of 60 miles an hour at times, which will likely lead to some power outages. We're expecting between about 1.5 inches of rain, 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rain over the course of the event, and could see some localized flooding, some flash flooding. We're also in that level 1 out of 4 for heavy rainfall, just because the ground is kind of dry. We haven't really seen too much rain. The ground's going to have a hard time soaking up all that water that we get. Not everyone's going to see 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rain. Most spots will probably see a quarter, maybe half an inch, but some spots we'll see 1 inch to 1.5 inches. And then isolated tornadoes can't be ruled out at this time. Before we go, we've talked about our impacts, the impacts in the upper Midwest and Dixie Alley. Before we go, I want to sort of tell you why we're so concerned with these convective outlooks, with the day one and the day two. This is not the day one outlook. This is the day one outlook. When we look at the tornado threat, look how large that red area is. There are over 6 million people that live in this red area where we could be potentially tracking significant tornadoes later today. This is the wind threat. There are 8.5 million people in that area. The hail threat, just in yellow, 27 million people. This is a large chunk of our population that's going to be under the potential for severe weather today. We're talking hail 2 inches plus. We're talking winds 75, 100 mile an hour plus. We're talking tornadoes on the ground, dozens of minutes, if not an hour, maybe 2 hours. This is a concerning event that we're tracking. Tomorrow, this is the day two outlook. The tornado risk is right on top of that moderate risk. It's even larger than it is today. Let me get to the day two convective outlook. In this area, almost 10 million people under the potential for significant tornado risk. Wind, same thing. It's even higher elevated than it is for today. 45% to see significant wind. 75, 100 miles an hour. There are 27 million people highlighted here in the yellow. Some of us included. Some of us included in this, in parts of the New River Valley. Hail. We're talking baseball-sized hail is possible. 30% chance of that in this area in red. That includes 13 million people. If you go outside into the yellow, it includes 40 million people. When you combine the two, 51 million people could be seeing hail that's significant for tomorrow. So it's kind of a crazy situation that's occurring. We are transitioning into the spring months. This is not uncommon as we transition to severe weather season. It is a little bit earlier historically for this stuff to begin in the middle of March. It's usually late March, early April where we start to see some of these severe risks really take place. But this is going to be an event that we have to watch carefully. And I know we're only under a level 2 out of 5, but we have to monitor how this situation unfolds across this area, the upper Midwest and Dixie Alley, over the next 2 days. Then we'll have a little bit of a better idea of how this system is performing, so that way we can make adjustments to our risk here locally. Again, last thing before we go, I think St. Patrick's Day, I think we're all in the good, with the exception of a few afternoon storms. Maybe a couple of showers. That's it. I want to thank you for tuning in. We will be doing some of these live streams over the course of the weekend, I think especially on Sunday, as the severe component really becomes a little bit more elevated. And we will continue to update you online and on social media and on air.